My name's Howard Smith. I'm 55-year-old. I live locally. I live in North Shields. I'm married, wife Joanna, 2 children. I say children, I've got a daughter who's 24, Jessica, and a son who's 21, Christian. And I work for Nexus, our local transport company, as a project manager. Well, what first motivated me to become a mentor is I remember being at the age that these kids are at now and feeling a little bit lost in not having somebody to turn to that wasn't in a position of authority as a teacher or a family member such as my mum or dad, and it was an alternative external person to speak to. And I just thought that would be really rewarding for both myself and the mentee. Mentoring to me is being available to the mentee, having somebody to speak to on a regular basis, being a constant source of information, somebody to ask questions of, somebody to tell about your week, tell about how things are going on in your life, maybe get a small piece of advice from that person, and maybe it's kind of be almost set an example of what you can and can't achieve in your life in the future. Yeah, when I first came in and I met Lacey for the first time, she was quite open, to be honest. We were in the company of one of her teachers, Miss Longdon, and Lacey was quite relaxed and we got on quite well from the beginning, if that makes sense. She wasn't very reserved, she was quite open, she was willing to talk about things. So the connections that I've had with Lacey and we've mostly spoken about is our common interest in the military. Lacey's very interested in joining the army when she gets older, and I have quite a vast military experience with my time in the army. We also both have quite an interest in motorcycles, and these are the things that we tend to talk about in our sessions together. And we do activities, we do play games like Connect 4. We have a piece of paper that we colour in every week. We do a little bit every week. It's a bit of a mosaic. It's a common theme. We've also done some tie-dye of some tote bags that were supplied by the school themselves. But interspersed with that is we ensure that we have conversations all the time as well, so the activity doesn't take over the conversation, if that makes sense. My hopes for Lacey's future are mostly that she enters into the transition from a school years, maybe through the army or whatever she decides to do, as smoothly as possible. And as I said earlier, I always felt I was a little bit lost at this point in my life when I was younger, and hopefully that she'll have something to aim for, whether it be the army or something else that she chooses to do, and that transition is smooth and she gets to the point in her life where she goes in adulthood, into employment, etc., with as little fuss as possible. My advice would be to ensure that whatever goals you set, they are achievable. You know, you set yourself achievable goals, and whatever you try to achieve it, you must be constant. You must constantly attend, like we do with our mentorship sessions, constantly attend, constantly pay attention, constantly work, and that's the only way you'll achieve your goals. To be honest, the thing I want to get most out of it is knowing that at some point my mentorship with Lacey will come to an end and she'll move on to pastures new. And the one thing I want to get out of it is knowing that I've put Lacey in as good a position as I can, with the help of our tutors and our family, etc., to move on to the next step in our life. That's the most important thing, and I think that's why everybody should do mentorship. First of all, as I've already said, is be constant. Make sure you turn up at the mentor sessions. Get used to the fact that you're not going to fix everything in the first week. You're not going to fix everything over the whole term of the mentorship, but just be constant and do everything you can each time you go to make things as smooth as possible. And also make sure you set up after each session ready to start the next session. And that's important because that gives your mentee something to look forward to. Become a mentor or support mentors if you're a business owner. It can only be a good thing. You will get the opportunity to make a little bit of a difference to somebody coming up in the future. It also gives society as a whole the opportunity to develop young people in a better way than if they didn't have mentorship.